Please put your fins together for Joshua Barber, Dr. Diana Lee, and Dr. Emily Costa. Welcome, everybody. My name is Noah Giberson, and I am 1/3 of Fax Machine, a show by and for people who are curious about everything, but especially the things that make them laugh. In our show, we share the fascinating facts we've discovered and the larger stories behind them, concluding with a pub-style trivia quiz that is, as we like to say, loosely inspired by the theme. Tonight, our theme is marine biology, and we are joined by 3 fish out of water, Joshua Barber, Dr. Diana Lee, and my co-host, Dr. Emily Costa. So, Josh, by night you are an improv comic and science podcaster, but by day you are the senior manager of aquatic and reptilian life at the Institute for Comparative Medicine. We're going to talk a lot about fish tonight, of course, but what's it like to work with reptiles day in and day out?
You're going to set me up like that, man? We have no reptiles at Columbia. I'm sorry. But there's a fun fact about me, because I do love reptiles and fish a whole lot. And when I was young and making my first email address, I really looked up to the crocodile hunter, and I learned about herpetology. And so my first email address ever was herpman225@yahoo.com.
Sorry, it was herpman?
Herpman225@yahoo.com. Only to be replaced with snakeman152000@yahoo.com. Not much better, I'm sorry. Yeah.
For those who may not know, what was the herp referring to?
Oh, herpetology, the study of reptiles and amphibians. So, yeah.
Wait, so there's none of them at Columbia, so you've made Columbia a herp-free zone.
Yeah.
All thanks to you.
You're welcome.
And so, Diana, a few days ago, I had the privilege of seeing you perform here, where you co-hosted Science Friday's Cephalopod Trivia Night, along with another Fax Machine alum, Diana Plasker. It was amazing. I loved it. It was so much fun. And you mentioned something that night that you discovered in your research on squid, that their arms go red right before they engage in a particular behavior. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So if you imagine a squid, they're usually like kind of bullet-shaped, and they have dangly bits at the bottom, and those dangly bits would turn really bright red right before they would go to mate with others. And it was basically, you know how when you might give someone the bedroom eyes? They would just give others the bedroom arms. They would just kind of literally pulsate bright red when they're about to just grab onto anything nearby and start just transferring their sperm into their face.
Whoa.
Yeah. You should be thankful that bedroom eyes don't always end up with that, but if you were a squid, bedroom arms means you gotta get ready. And I've watched maybe 6 years of squids doing this in grad school.
Jesus.
So, highly reliable.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you so much for your sacrifice, and welcome once again to Josh.
It's what we do for knowledge.
Say it again?
It's what we do for knowledge.
That's right. We're scientists. It's what we do. Let's welcome one more time our guests, Josh and Diana. Finally, co-hosts of this show, you and I have known each other for a long, long time. I mean, you gave a speech at my wedding. I mean, we are very close friends. I can't believe this has never come up before, but I thought of a question that I should really ask you, and I wanted to ask, what is your stance on marine organisms, broadly?
I was afraid this would come up. So, here's the thing. This is a little bit of a point of secret shame for me. Octopuses, I think they're brilliant, they're majestic, they are miracles, marvels of biological engineering. But shit, they also taste so good. And
I think it's the consciousness.
Maybe,
the intelligence.
maybe.
I mean, it sounds like you're not conflicted. You love them in so many ways.
Thank you. This for me has always been very conflicting because over the course of my life, there's been so much media about octopuses lately, well-deservedly, about how fantastic they are. But like, I grew up, my whole family is Portuguese. We eat octopus traditionally for Christmas. Like, it is Christmas for everybody but octopuses.
On the 8th arm of Christmas.
It truly gave to me some delicious octopus, and then I cried. Yeah. But thank you for validating that might be okay. Maybe.
I'm just thinking that like Christmas is like the most terrible day. It's like the Day of the Dead for octopus.
Exactly.
Oh my God! It's like the 25th, the Christmas horror.
Well, the
reckoning is coming
the
for
Day
them
of the
each year.
Dead is where the spirits like come back. So actually,
Oh,
it's
wait,
the
I
worst
take
day
that
for the
back.
Portuguese.
It's revenge?
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. Actually, yeah, maybe they will seek my revenge. I should be careful around the ocean. We'll see.
No, you can just tell them you know me. It'll be okay.
True.
okay.
Okay, I got the hookup. Thank
Oh
goodness.
yeah. She knows Diana. She used to
Hook
watch
up.
us fuck. Like, we'll see which way that goes. I don't know. So let's get started with the storytelling part of the show. For our first marine biology inspired story of the night, please welcome to the mic Joshua Barber.
All right, so Fishy Fathers, that's my title. This young man here, this beautiful boy, 8 years old, that is me. It's not my son, it's me. I had a backwards hat too, so that's pretty cool. And I was really a big fan of the Dewey Decimal System. Show of hands, how many people have ever used the Dewey Decimal System for anything? Yeah, well, this is the crowd that probably would. Yeah, okay. Never mind.
Proudly.
I thought it was going to be like one person, but it was like everyone. So anyway, the reason why I love the Dewey Decimal System is because I used to love going to the library, and I would go exactly. I had all the numbers memorized so I could go to all the fish and shark and reptile books right away. We already covered the reptile stuff, but my true passion nowadays is fish, right? I've always been so obsessed with them. And that obsession carried on into my career now at Columbia and even into my Save the Date, where this is no joke. This is my real Save the Date. Love you, baby. I know she's watching on the stream, so my wife, Jess. But she was down to be a Spanish mackerel, and people thought it was great. So, yeah, don't take yourself too seriously when it comes to getting married and stuff. Have fun with it, because all of them are so stuffy.
What a catch.
Right? Oh, I set you up good for that one. Also, I wanted to show you the second love of my life, my 55-gallon fish tank at home that I just love so much. And yeah, I just wanted to share with everyone that. So my talk is about fish fathers. And of course, since it was just Father's Day, I wanted to kind of highlight that. I felt like that was kind of on theme. So, fish fathers, these fish that we're going to talk about today, they're about family. They're about raising their own. And that's kind of what The Godfather's about, more or less. So, I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen it. Anyway, the seahorse, I think it's like a little bit more common. Most people kind of know about the seahorse, right? Like even the lay person might know that the female lays her eggs in the male's brooding pouch, and then the male fertilizes them inside and then grows them up and gets a big old belly, and then eventually they hatch inside, and then they eject basically fully formed little seahorses. My bread and butter is zebrafish. That's the next slide. So I work with these guys in the biomedical research world, and these guys are terrible fathers, terrible parents, really. So they externally fertilize, right? They lay those eggs, they put the sperm on them, and then they just scatter them everywhere, and then they forget that they did that almost instantly, and then they will just eat their own embryos right away. Yeah, terrible. But luckily...
I didn't remember leaving a snack here.
Oh, look, Cheetos. So luckily we developed this amazing contraption in science called just a breeding tank. It's got as you can see, the eggs are at the bottom and they're just divided so the fish can't get to them. So they don't have a choice, which is great. But yeah, they're terrible parents. That's your takeaway. The crown jewel of tonight, I would say, is the Siamese fighting fish. So there might be varying degrees of knowledge about these guys, but I think most people know what they are because they call them betta fish. The genus or the species name is Betta splendens, and so that's where you get betta fish, beta fish. People call it stuff like that. And people know them mostly for their fighting acumen, right? They're really good fighters. They're also very beautiful. They've been bred to have this amazing kind of plumage like fins. Not all of them are like that, but they really are kind of amazing creatures. But a lot of people don't know about some of the other cool facts about them. For instance, they possess something called a labyrinth organ. It's not just betta fish that have this, but all betta fish do have this organ. And it allows them basically to not just depend on their gills for oxygen extraction, but also to be able to gulp atmospheric air from the surface of the water and then basically extract oxygen from that instead of depending on the gills. So that's very useful because...
And, if I can, amazing.
Right?
Labyrinth.
So this is kind of showing their range, right? So the reason why they have sort of evolutionarily developed this organ is because they live in waterways that are low in oxygen. And so in Southeast Asia, where they're from, this is a great adaptation. So this is actually a picture of what the betta fish look like in the wild. They're a lot different than what we see actually in domesticity, I guess, right? In fact, there is you can draw a lot of parallels between wild type betta fish and sort of the wolf, which is kind of how we, I guess, created the dogs of today, except for in the betta fish case, we've created these beautiful, we've taken a drab animal, we've kind of made it this beautiful creature with flowing fins and beautiful finnage and coloration. And then we did like kind of the opposite with these dogs. I mean, there are a lot of beautiful dogs out there, but I don't know about pugs and Chinese cresteds, and I don't know what that last one is. I've never seen that before. Any thoughts?
Yeah, the betta fish in the wild is just like, inside me there is one shitty wolf.
Yes. Anyway, so back to betta fish. So betta fish also have a lot of really cool distinct behaviors, and the way that they actually spawn is very unique to the species. So when the male gets to breeding age, he finds a little remote spot, and he starts gulping up air once again, but not to breathe this time. This time he coats it with a mucus, and he spits that back up until he has like a bunch of bubbles, which turn into basically what we call a bubble nest, right? It's a big raft. It's usually anchored by leaves, something of that nature. Pretty cool, huh?
That's a very cute name for a thing.
A bubble nest?
Bubble nest, yeah.
I know. Bubble nest. It's adorable. And he's just chilling under there. And it's akin to how a lot of the nest building male birds are, right? Where they're beautiful. They're just like hanging out with this new amazing nest that they made. And they're just like waiting for ladies to come along, right? And sure enough, in this scenario, a lady does come along. And then they kind of, he struts his stuff. And if she's down, they make sweet, fishy love in the shadow of the bubble nest.
Oh.
Isn't that kind of cute? It's kind of romantic, yes.
Really artistically done photographs of this.
Yes. This was harder to find than I thought. A lot of them were in YouTube. Yeah, whatever. I don't need to get into it. But it's actually amazing because after they do that, right, so while they're doing it, it takes a little while to actually produce all these eggs and fertilize them. And each sort of like small mating session, the male has to swim down, catch these eggs before they hit the surface, or the substrate where he can't find them, and then he spits them back into the bubble nest where they stick up there. And that's really cool because he's doing a lot of the work. I would say it's a lot more work. It's about time that men. No.
I also take issue that you called it a short mating session.
I mean, it's short but sweet and very effective.
Okay.
Okay? It's not about the size of the bubble nest. And so after the mating is done, the female is off scot-free. So she Ubers home or whatever, has a cigarette. She's out of there. And then the male is left with the progeny. So that's a cute picture of a male.
Oh.
And what he does is he guards that nest, and he drives away anyone who's coming in to eat his babies, basically. And those eggs are going to continually fall out of the nest, and he goes and picks them up, and he puts them back. It's so tender. And even when they become fry, whenever they become baby fish, he does the same thing, right? He just cares for them. Usually they're not even eating during this time. So it's about a week's time that he does this. And then at the end, they become free swimming, and they swim away, and they go on to be more bettas that propagate the species. So that's kind of it for betta fish. So I would say that they are kind of like the king of the dads, right? They're just the best. But I would be remiss if I didn't talk about some other dads, okay? Like the lump sucker, which is takes the cake for the ugliest dad of all time, I guess. So the way that these guys father is basically they have a nesting site, and the females come along and they say, cool, I'm gonna lay 300,000 of my eggs in this general vicinity, and then you're gonna take care of them. And that's exactly what happens. The female takes off, male fertilizes and guards those eggs until they can swim around, and off they go. It's the same deal. This is called mouth brooding. This is actually much more common in female. Lots of gargle gargle. Did I make that big enough? Can everyone see that? Is that inappropriate? I'm sorry. Anyway, so this is much more common in female fish. What was that?
It's a direct quote, looks like.
Yeah, it's a direct quote. Yeah,
It's a speech bubble nest.
I liked it.
Fuck you guys.
I don't know why there's not a standing ovation for that great joke, but whatever. It's fine. So this is very common in the jawfish for the males to do the mouth brooding. So they just They just pick up all the eggs in their mouth, they keep them safe, they aerate them, they keep algae off of them, and they don't eat during this time, although wouldn't you be kind of tempted to have a few caviars here and there? I don't know, I kind of would be, right? Like,
Can we send this to zebrafish and show them how it's done? Like, this seems like
we've
it's
been
the
trying.
approach they need.
We've been trying.
Well, it's not hard to get the zebrafish to put the eggs in their mouth.
Yeah, that's true.
To not
Just it's the not swallowing part that's tough for them.
exactly.
It's a little bit less common for males to do it and more common for females, but this is a species that does. Also, cardinal fish is the same idea, right? They do that as well. You can see on the left there's eggs, and on the right he actually has little babies there. And then in the freshwater sphere, arowanas, which are quite a large fish, and they are both in Asia and South America, they kind of do the same thing. So just good fish dads doing fish dad stuff.
But they don't gargle. Suspicious.
You know, that's true. I didn't put the gargle for that one.
Well, with my experience with arowana is that sometimes I cough involuntarily, so I'd be worried that I would inhale. Okay, all right. Thank you.
All right.
It took me longer than it should have. Okay, sorry, I'm gonna stop lying. This is really good. Okay, moving on. So I did want to just highlight this fish. Now, technically, this is not just a father thing. This is a parent thing. But discus fish, which are named after, like the discus, like the old Greek sport,
Wait, so they threw these fishes like frisbees outside.
Yes. They threw these.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how the first discus was invented. Like they were like, oh, it bit them. They're like, oh, and it became a sport. Anyway, so the cool thing about these fish is that the babies actually, so both parents are involved. Sorry, moms are involved too. Moms are awesome in this case. And the babies, once they're born, they migrate from the nesting site onto the sides of the fish. And then they feed off of the slime layer that are on these fish themselves. And as many of you guys probably know, the slime layer is very important for fish because it's like their first line of defense against pathogens. So I feel like that's like a really sacrifice, right? In order to like have your progeny live on. And in this world, I mean, we'll learn a lot about sacrifices as far as parents go. I'm sure Diana's gonna talk a lot about that. I don't even know. But yeah, it's
What does that mean?
I don't know.
So ominous.
To be continued. To be cont.
Gargling continues.
Gargled. Cont.
Continue.
Anyway, that's discus. But the last species I want to talk about is the father time of fish. So that's a little bit of a stretch, but I wanted to do it anyway. The Greenland shark, the oldest and longest lived vertebrate on the earth. Hold your applause. So these guys, scientists are still figuring stuff out about them. They think that they can live as long, between 250 to even maybe 500 years. I looked this up. The gestation for a Greenland shark, does anyone know how long that is? If anyone has a guess. I didn't even hear anything as long. It's 8 to 18 years.
Wow.
What?
Gestation. I'm pretty sure I got that right. I'm gonna go look that up afterwards. I don't think it was months. Now I'm like saying, was that right? Is that right? Now I'm already
Amazing.
doubting myself.
Just put a fin in that.
Yeah, put a pin in that. Love it.
That's
Anywho's,
excellent.
because this Greenland shark has been around so long, he's been around for things like Sir Isaac Newton's study of gravity, the War of 1812.
Wait, so you're saying the shark caused all these things?
Oh yeah.
He was what to say. I'm like,
Look at him, he's right there. These are real photos, people.
Real photos of 1812
Yeah, all right?
when they had cameras.
Yeah, at this point, okay, this is the stock market crash of 1929 where the Greenland shark lost all of its investments. They said, look at how mad they are.
Was he a lone shark?
Oh.
I love every moment of this.
My arms just went red.
You blush? And last but not least, witness Beyonce's Black is King.
I'll be honest with you. When I saw 2020 go up there, I was about to ask where it was on January 6th. It's a question you have to ask all dads.
A lot of things, yeah, exactly. A lot of things happened in 2020. Oh boy. So in summary, I'm gonna conclude now. Fish are pretty cool. Hopefully you got that. Some are great dads, although maybe better or worse than some of the TV dads in life. Some are terrible dads. Zebrafish. But the important thing is that all of these behaviors are driven by their genes, right? They don't learn things from their parents. And I think that's kind of magical. So that's it.
Keep it going for Joshua Barber.
I think squids are the coolest animals on this planet. Come at me, fishes.
I disagree.
Okay, well, you know what?
Boy.
It's squid time right now. And my research was all about these animals, and I combined neuroscience and biomechanics to study how they swim, because I just wanted to know what life would be like as a squid. But today my facts will focus on the squids and neuroscience together. So we're going to move to neuroscience now. And if I asked you to describe neurons, you would probably be able to say like they fire, they spike, and that's what they're doing. They're sending an action potential down along the length of their axon, allowing them to communicate to the next cell. And that's like a fundamental idea of neuroscience. And though we've known since the 1790s that electricity was involved in the nervous system of animals, it would take another 50 or so years for the idea of that action potential to arise. And it'll take another 100 years after that for people to actually measure that phenomenon. And that's because that's when squid enter the scene. So I believe it's thanks to the squid that we have neuroscience at all. And I'll tell you why. And I wish more people's number one reaction when I bring up squids was about their role in neuroscience.
They do taste really good as well.
I know. But for those blessed few who do know about their role in science, they get really excited. Like, oh yeah. The giant squid axon experiments. And I have to immediately restrain my inner pedant because I'm going like, well, actually, they were the squid giant axon experiments. And that means something really different. And we're going to find out why today. So I'm going to tell you what were the squid giant axon experiments and what it would take to do those same experiments on the giant squid's giant axon. So we're going to get into it. And the key player here is the squid. So here it is. And swimming is central to everything they do, and especially escaping threats really fast. And they do that through jet propulsion. So they suck seawater into their mantle, which is a muscle, so they contract it to send a jet of water out the siphon. And the neurons that go from the brain to the mantle have to send that signal really fast. But unlike our neurons, which have this stuff called myelin that envelops the axon really cushiony, really comfortably, that allows the signal to just jump along the axon and get to the end really fast like it's on the express train. Squid are stuck on the local line. They have no myelin. They should be sending that signal slowly, but they don't, because they have a trick up one of their 8 sleeves or 2 tentacles. And that's because just like how it would be way faster to fill a bucket with a wide fire hose of water compared to like a thin drinking straw of water, squid went that wide hose route. They just decided, let's make our axons huge so that they can send signals fast. And that is the squid giant axon. It's 0.5 to 1.5 millimeters thick. And that might sound like a small number, but when you think of part of a cell that is that big you can see with your eye, that is absolutely incredible. It's thicker than most people's hair. So I guess if you wanted to be kind of creepy and say, girl, your hair is thick like a squid's axon. That might work on somebody. Maybe you're showing your red arms too.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
there's something out there for everyone. And then in the 20th century, at the beginning of the 1900s, scientists didn't have fine enough, electrodes to be able to measure what these regular axons were doing to see really how much smaller they are. But with the squid giant axon, they were able to essentially just stick a wire right inside and measure it. So I feel like squid giant axon is kind of like a Chad energy. They're just big. They're just there. They're just happy to be invited. Just put the wire in there, and then they'll provide you exactly what's happening inside electrically. You can directly measure in real time the action potential traveling along this. And scientists got so good at doing that that they were able to eventually come up with equations to perfectly model what's happening when neurons try to communicate with each other. So it was really, really impactful work that I would argue opened up a lot of modern neuroscience as we know today. And people agree, they thought it was really important, so these three men won the Nobel Prize for their work on neuron communication. But I would say none of them could have done that work without the squid, whom I believe was snubbed by the Nobel Committee. MVP, Loligo Forbesai, right there, never forget. But interestingly, the scientists who did a lot of that prize-winning work noted in one of their papers that the best results from their experiments were obtained with the fibers, or neurons, from large specimens. So that's a very open invitation for me to have you think about choosing the largest possible specimen for future squid giant axon experiments, the giant squid. So, need a giant squid for your squid giant axon experiments? Call me. I'm your girl. I have 5 easy steps for you to follow so you can do this. And you can trust me because I am a professional.
With these 5 easy steps, Nobel Prize winners hate her.
Yes. They hate this one weird trick. And, I know what it takes to catch squid. I know what it takes to have to wake up to meet at sunrise to get the boat ready. I know what it takes to wear weird fishing clothes that would make any self-respecting hype beast so jealous of these pants. And, I've been through it all. I've been through the hazards like bad weather, of course, getting sprayed in the face with seawater. I got inked on so much, I saw the local masturbator at the dock. This is a real picture
That
I
is
took in
going to be
Maine.
so sus on the podcast.
Hey,
Oh, man.
there's one in every harbor. There's always one.
Let's not explain it at all.
They're like, that'll work on the podcast. Anyway, so step 1, you'll need the right lure. And to go squidding, you need a specialized lure that doesn't really have bait on it, but instead is, visually appealing because these squids, they have big eyes, they love to look at stuff. So usually it has like glow-in-the-dark beads or like some sort of sparkly element. And then the squid goes to check it out, they go grab it, and then you can just reel them right up. That works for these coastal squids, like I studied, or like the Nobel Prize people studied. I'm just like putting myself at their level, but
You're
this
the
is just
same.
squid.
You're the same.
Thank you. You'll need something more sophisticated for the giant squid, because they live very in the deep sea. They're very elusive. So you'll need something I'd recommend called the E-jelly. And that's something that a marine biologist named Dr. Edie Witter developed. She wanted to be able to film giant squid in their habitat. So she made this like basketball-sized robot that would flash in the pattern of a panicking deep-sea jellyfish. And that jellyfish lights up when it's about to be eaten by a predator in hopes of attracting an even bigger predator to eat that first predator. And that second predator is the giant squid.
Whoa.
Ooh, he was not ready for that E-jelly.
So that one, it's like just a juvenile. It was only 10 feet long. It's so giant. Anyway, so you see the lure works, I'd recommend that for you. Next, you have to get it to the right spot, and that's about 1,000 to 4,000 feet deep in the ocean. So you can't really use like a fishing line, but don't worry. There are scientists who study stuff that deep. They use robots called remotely operated vehicles. That's that orange thing right there about to get deployed off the side of a ship. And you can be in the ship and control it and tell it where to go. And it can sample all sorts of things, like from the seafloor. It can catch things that are swimming in the middle of the water in these containers. And you can even use like a really gentle vacuum tube to just suck unsuspecting target specimens like into a container. Thunk.
What is that?
It's like thunk. Yeah.
That's the cutest thing I've ever seen.
That's
What
a
is that?
flapjack octopus, and my aside is that it's the one that you want to vacuum from above. Like if anyone believes in aliens, it's deep sea animals because we're just sucking them up. And
Yeah.
That's how I'd want to deposit an octopus at a bank.
yeah, like the pneumatic
Who
tube.
remembers that? Does anyone
Yeah.
I
have that
remember.
reference? Yeah.
that's
You can like fax your octopus in and
right.
But yeah. Well, the flapjack octopus, as my aside, its defense mechanism is to flatten like a pancake. So you have like the big tube, and it's like maybe they won't see me if I. Anyway, it's very cute. So you just have, you have the right tools at your disposal, but you also have to make sure you have the container of the right size. So you need the right gear, right? No such thing as a bad time, just bad gear. That's me.
That's you.
That's me on the floor.
Diana for scale.
Diana for scale. I'll say Diana for me. So at max size, giant squid can get about 40 feet long. It's hard to fit in a photo, so I drew in the rest. And We know that by finding squid beaks in the stomachs of sperm whales. And by looking at the size of the beak, we can calculate the size of the owner. And that's how we know how big they can get. Like, really, just giant. Those are regular-sized hands. And
It's an infant holding
for
it.
scale. It is AMNH, and I was on the ground. It was very gross, but it was worth it for this photo. So if we count up all the beaks eaten by all the sperm whales, again, me for scale at AMNH, we apparently can find out that the sperm whales eat 131 million giant squid each year. And that's kind of terrifying to think about. There are millions of squids just that giant size in the ocean. But you know what? That's actually really great news for you and your experiments because you want a robust sample size. So plenty for you to
There's
get.
so many of them. We better get cracking.
We better get cracking. All right, so final step. I think it's always important for you to have a backup plan, right? And if all else fails, you can always plan to just offend like an ancient god and hope that they send the kraken to smite you. Because why search for the giant squid when you can just have the giant squid search for you? So much easier.
God.
So there you have it. You have 5 foolproof steps for collecting the giant squid for your next squid giant axon experiments, so you could have the giant squid giant axon experiments. And now you know why squid and neuroscience go together, tentacle and tentacle. And so next time, when axons and squids come up in the same sentence, you'll know exactly what they might be. They might be giants.
Keep it going for Dr. Diana Lee! The time has come for the trivia results. Our guests did the same trivia that you did. Let's find out how they did. So Josh, Diana, M, was it like shooting fish in a barrel, or are you feeling a little green around the gills?
I don't know what that even means, because there was no cephalopods involved.
Isn't green around the gills sick? Like, are both of those negative?
Yeah, good or bad?
Oh.
Shooting fish in a barrel is
I was like,
easy.
were we the fish in the barrel? Because that'd be bad.
Yeah.
It never seemed that easy to me, but okay. Somewhere in between.
All I know is that squidders never win.
Wow.
Wow.
I don't know why. Okay, never. I loved it.
Squidders
I
also
loved it
never
too.
quit.
I think
I
that
loved
was
it so
great.
much.
Never
All
quit.
right.
Squidders
so
never quit.
We're going to go ahead and get to the trivia answers. So, in question 1, why was an octopus in Germany offered state protection by the Prime Minister of Spain?
We thought this was about the animal oracle who performed divinations about sports.
Interesting. Any more information about that?
Well, we know there was an octopus named Paul who correctly predicted the outcome of 85% of its divinations about World Cup winners.
And that would have warranted Spanish state protection?
Well, that will make no sense because he voted for Germany all those times.
In fact, he voted for Germany every time but one. And that time he voted for Spain.
There we go.
So Paul the octopus was known in Germany as Das Kraken Oracle. And he gained international fame for correctly predicting the outcome of every match the German team played in the 2010 FIFA World Cup and the 2008 European Championships. He missed 2 out of 6, I believe. So overall, 84, 85%. Unfortunately for the Germans, Paul eventually picked Spain to beat them in the semifinal, which prompted angry German calls, the worst kind, to have Paul cooked and eaten. In response, the Spanish Prime Minister José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero said, quote, "I am concerned for the octopus. I am thinking of sending him a protective team." And the Environment and Fisheries Minister Elena Espinosa said, "On Monday, I shall be at the European Council of Ministers and I shall be asking for a fishing ban on Paul the octopus so the Germans do not eat him."
I have so many questions. Was the protective team humans or other octopuses?
It was a crack team of squid. It was a Kraken team. Right there. This is actually, interestingly, not Paul's first experience being threatened for his oracular visions. When he picked Germany to beat Argentina in the quarterfinal, an Argentinian chef posted an octopus recipe on Facebook, prompting one of Paul's handlers to issue the following statement: "There are always people who want to eat our octopus, but he is not shy, and we are here to protect him as well. He will survive." In other words, you can catch these hands, and these hands, and these hands, and these hands. Thank you very much. All right. Question 2. True or false, Moby Dick was at first rejected by its eventual publisher in a letter containing the following criticism. First, we must ask, does it have to be a whale? Could not the captain be struggling with a depravity towards young, perhaps voluptuous maidens? What did y'all say?
We wanted it to be true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, who can turn down young, perhaps voluptuous maidens?
I mean, I could see whales not selling so well, but sex sells. It's timeless. It's a universal
It's
rule.
still mammals.
Yeah.
So the question was, so just to be clear, so the question is, was this a real rejection letter? So you were saying true.
We
Yes.
would love
Yeah.
for it to be true.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not the same. Are you so final answer?
True.
True.
We are
true.
choosing the answer we want to see in the world. Is what we're doing.
We're manifesting true.
Yes.
The answer is false.
What the hell?
While you can find this supposed rejection letter all over the internet, I wasn't able to find any trace of it until 2010, and the only person who seems to have spotted that it was a hoax was Neil Gaiman. This is really strange because I initially, because I had heard this on like QI or something, I was like, oh, that'd make good. I'm gonna do more research into it. And then like the first Google result is Neil Gaiman being like, this is a hoax, and not giving like a ton of information. He's just like, oh, his editor actually loved the book and was very enthusiastic about it. I mean, those may be true, and maybe that's good enough reason to think it's not true. But I think, as I was digging into it more and more, I think the best evidence that I could find is that it was supposedly sent on May 18th, 1851, to 104 East 26th Street here in New York, which was Herman Melville's address. But he actually didn't live there until 1863. So that is the closest I can get. I found this basically on it was like a creative writing blog where it was like the kind of place where you find rejection letters where people use for writing inspiration to like persevere through the endless rejections they're probably getting. But it's also very possible it was just like a creative writing sort of parody of this sort of thing, and there's no indication which one it is, except for the fact that as far as I went into the advanced search tools on Google, I couldn't find any evidence of it before then. So that's the best I could do for you on this.
Very deep dive.
I was gonna say
As deep as I could go.
I was gonna say it sounds like some propaganda from Big Squid.
Yeah, probably.
No, the deep dive. The squids are down there. They support Noah.
Right.
Yeah.
Question 3, what would you find inside a mermaid's purse? What did y'all put?
So I was pretty sure about this one. I don't know that I have any jokes necessarily to make.
I support your answer.
Okay, I think it's straight up sharks for egg-laying sharks. I don't think I have to give you a species though.
You can just
Yeah.
say shark embryo, because shark embryo
Or
is the answer. Or
big-
skate, or ray.
Oh, it was skate.
Shark doo
Also.
doo 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 doo
Chimera.
baby. Shark doo doo. Thank you guys.
Did anybody think I was just asking, like, what do mermaids keep in their, like, handbag? Okay, all right. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad you did.
Nice.
I can rest easy tonight.
That's good. That's
They
good.
keep eggs in there. It's their clutch.
There you go.
Really good.
There you go.
Thanks. All right. That's what
First
they look
jokes.
like, by the way. If you've ever
Yeah.
been to the beach, you may have seen one.
Yeah.
This is a really cool thing the Monterey Bay Aquarium did, where they made a little window. They cut it out and then like placed like a little sterile window on there so you could like watch the embryos develop. It's pretty cool. Question 4, which one of the following is not a real species of fish? Is it... So what you've got to figure out is which one did I make up? That's the game here. Is it A, the sarcastic fringe head? Is it B, the spiny pimpled lump sucker?
Okay.
Is it C, the slippery dick? Is it D, the bastard hog goblin? Or is it E, the dumb gulper?
We did process of elimination on this.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, first of all, I talked about the lump sucker.
I will add that you talked about lump suckers as
I
a genus.
did.
So the question is, having seen your slides before you submitted them, did I pull a fast one with the species name? That's
And
something
I'm
you might
not
want to
sure.
consider.
Oh,
I know.
okay, I know that C is a real fish because I remember in college memorizing fishes and laughing so hard at the slippery dick
Yeah.
or the slippery Richard in formal context.
Right.
Of course.
That's
It's like
the
a type of
instead version of the fish.
Yes,
Yes.
sir. It's Richard, slippery. So I knew that one was real.
And I knew that the sarcastic fringe head was real because we talked about that on my podcast. And you should Google that fish if you haven't, because it is crazy looking.
You
Just-
might
I'm
not
just
have to Google it to see it.
Oh wait, yes.
I'll show you one in a second. Okay, so we've eliminated A and C.
And we eliminated B.
We're just say B also.
Okay, so what is your answer?
What did we say?
we
I
said
think
E.
we said D.
D? Oh, so I know
Oh.
gulper eels are a thing, so I just hope that dumb
Yeah,
gulper would be
I
part
just-
of that. And
I've never seen bastard in a fish name before.
true.
Okay. So,
So,
what is your
we went with
answer?
D. We chose D.
We're
So
going
you're
with
All right,
saying
we'll
that
do
the
D.
one of these that is not real is the bastard hog goblin. Is that sort of the general
Right,
vibe
we
of
did
the
say
room?
that because there were no like fish names within it.
Yes.
I recall the reason.
I've not. Yes.
All right.
Goblin shark?
No.
What?
Well, goblin shark. Yes.
Okay.
We did talk about that.
And
in
a
the movie.
You did,
hogfish.
yes.
There's a
Still.
hogfish as well.
And there's a hogfish, but we are
But
still
there's no
gonna stick
hog
with.
goblin.
So
Is he
Final
trying to
answer?
help us? Are you trying to help us?
Final answer?
I thought we decided
D.
D. Yeah.
We decided
yeah,
D.
D is the
D.
not real one.
Right.
Locking it
Okay.
in.
The one I made up was the bastard hog goblin.
Check that out.
I was working on
so
it, man.
We're s-
The dumb gulper, the slippery dick, the lump sucker, I should say the spiny
Oh,
pimpled
yeah.
lump sucker, and the sarcastic fringe head are all real species of fish. Sarcastic fringe heads, that's the one up on the left, they are real. Although it's not immediately clear why they're called sarcastic, actually. On the website of the Aquarium of the Pacific, it reads, the sarcastic part of their common name is attributed to their temperament. So that can't mean that they think the fish are sarcastic, right? With basically no further explanation of that. Although the aquarium staff must be getting really sick of the sarcastic fringe head shit because they also list its conservation status as safe for now. It is, apparently it is just unclear why it was named that to begin with, whether they were named that for looking a little smug and sarcastic, or because the word sarcasm apparently derives from the Greek word sarkazin, which means to tear or strip off flesh. And if you're wondering why it might have been called that, this is what it looks like with its mouth open.
Look at that.
So despite their 2 rows of razor-sharp teeth, male sarcastic fringe heads mostly settle disagreements over mates and shelter by open-mouth kissing a little bit. And the winner is the fish with the bigger mouth.
But you know what? I was really hoping to see a fake fish name like that you'd try to distract us with, which was the bony-eared ass fish.
That is a good one. Yeah,
Friend of the
Emily
pod.
actually used that one in
Yeah.
the show or the show before
Smallest
that.
brain to body ratio of any
And
creature.
it's called
Yeah.
an ass
Less.
fish. It's just
I
roasting
know.
it.
I know.
but
I could not
bastard
believe it when I first read
hobgoblin
it.
was a bridge too far.
It was. It
Yeah.
really was.
Yep.
Can I tell you where I got that from? Because
Yes, please.
basically one of my favorite plant names is Margaritaria nobilis, and it means the noble pearl. That's the scientific name. The common name is the bastard hogberry. It's this
Ooh.
beautiful iridescent blue and purple fruit. It's incredible, and it's been given just the shittiest, angriest name.
That's so sad.
Yeah. I want to say about this. Eumicrotremus is one of the lumpsucker genuses. Does anybody know what this means in Greek? In the lumpsuckers genus, Eumicrotremus is good little hole. A chill just went through the room. Well, that's just upsetting. Question 5. In the opening sequence of the feel-good children's movie Finding Nemo, Nemo's mother is brutally murdered by a barracuda. What was Nemo's mother's name?
So, first of all, I just want to go on record as saying that this is sadder than the beginning of Up.
Yeah.
Fight me. Okay? Now people are like, no, it's not
So
true.
we're basically testing whether the room likes cancer or barracudas more. Is that?
Can I take that back? This is just a sad of many of the sad
Got
Pixar
it.
movie starts. But yeah, I think since this is one of my favorite movies, no surprise, I said it was Coral.
That is absolutely right. Yes.
Woo-hoo. Nice.
Yes, her name was Coral. And in this G-rated underwater buddy comedy about the abduction of a child, the first scene features the brutal murder of Nemo's mother, Coral, as well as Nemo's 399 siblings. This happens right after Coral and Nemo's father, Marlin, decide that one of their children will be named Nemo, but the remainder will be 50-50 named Marlin Jr. and Coral Jr. That means, depending on how you define it, Finding Nemo has more deaths of named characters than any other film.
Which movie's sadder now?
All right, so question 6, true or false? A squid's astrological sign can tell you something about what kind of mate it will be.
I didn't know what this question meant, so I thought it was false.
Okay? Do you
Yeah.
guys have any reasoning about it?
Is this like a bedroom arms reference that you wanted me to talk about again?
What made you think it was false?
I don't know what it means. What kind of mate it will be?
I feel like astrological
that's-
sign is like time of year, but then like
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but I think
Is
our
that right?
issue was the mating thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, are they
The
gentle
fish's
lovers?
compatibility, based on where the stars
What's like their love
align.
languages?
Are they
It's
into,
all
like-
just like
Squid role play? I don't know.
we don't
The
know.
answer is true.
What is it? What does it mean?
Explain
So,
yourself.
and you were on it with time of year because basically squid, this particular kind of
Okay.
squid, I think it's called the spear squid. That's a squid. Okay. So spear squid who are born earlier in the mating season are more likely to be called, quote, consorts. And born later, they're more likely to be sneakers. And these names, they describe something called alternative mating strategies. In the case of the spear squid, it's actually found that these are, in a lot of squid species, these can be kind of like facultative. They sort of change it depending on the situation. These are set for life. So for a spear squid, if it's born earlier in like the spring, I believe it's like sort of March, April, if I'm not mistaken, they will grow bigger by the time mating season rolls around. So they will be able to sort of fend off other squid who are trying to compete for mates, whereas the smaller ones basically just sneak around and mate with the female while the male is off like flexing in a mirror or something. My favorite part about this, reading this paper, is so the squid male alternative reproductive tactics are determined by birth date. This is the paper, and this is a picture of the consort and the sneaker. Huge difference in size because they live about a year. So like, 3 months is a huge difference if you get like only 3 more months after that until mating season. So in this paper, they brought up the term that I will never forget for the rest of my life. They say that the big squids that sort of hoard access to females and these resources in bourgeois tactics. Basically, bourgeois tactics are when an animal basically hoards resources, mates, or locations, and monopolizes them, in which case males may invest in primary access to fertilizations by adopting a bourgeois strategy. Just cool. Good to know. All right, question 7. Which one of the following alternate titles for the novel Jaws was among those considered by the author prior to publication? This one is where you figure out how I would have had to make up 4 alternate titles, okay?
Yeah.
One of these is a real alternate title considered by the author. A, what's that noshing on my leg?
Said just like that.
B, careful what you fish for. C, whose limb is it anyway? D, all the biter to eat you with, my dear. Or E, the tooth will set you free.
Okay. Well, we said this summer, be careful what you fish for.
Okay.
That's not the Jaws theme.
No, it's not,
All right.
but I like it.
The answer is approaching ominously. Ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. The answer was, what's that noshing on my leg? Peter Benchley, the author of the novel that eventually became Jaws, said in an interview that he, quote, labored through 125 titles, pretentious titles like A Stillness in the Water and Leviathan Rising, downmarket titles like The Jaws of Death, and From My Father, What's That Noshing on My Leg?
That one out of 125 options?
Yes, and actually, in fact, after this list had been created, with 20 minutes left to go before the book had to actually go into production, he turned to his editor, Tom, and said, why don't we call the bloody thing Jaws? And Tom said, Jaws? What does it mean? Peter said, who knows? At least it's short. Some other titles on that list were The Edge of Gloom, What Have We Done, and An Elegant, Splendid Menace. Or Presence, sorry.
Does that say one summer?
Yeah.
That's so like, would you ever think that someone's gonna die in that?
I'll tell you,
It's ominous.
that's basically the plot of every horror movie.
Okay, fine.
That's true.
Does that one just say why with a question mark?
Yeah, it was just why. I find myself asking myself that often. Let's move on. Question 8. This is the final question of the night. So it's all coming down to this. So I believe so far you've only missed one, right? Is that correct? Only missed one?
We don't know.
I believe that's
Yeah.
true.
Yes.
2?
Sure.
1? Okay, 1.
I think we got all of them.
So,
except one.
question
Oh, no,
8.
I think we missed.
Question 8. How many arms does the male 7-arm octopus, also known as the septopus, have?
I confidently said 8, and then now I have less confidence.
Okay.
Our confidence is based on your confidence.
Well, okay, I have 2 pieces of evidence.
Okay,
First,
let's hear
a Blue Sky thread that I was reading about
Okay.
Cephalopod Week because
What's
I
that?
What's Blue Sky?
Blue Sky?
Oh, I was
No.
like, what's Double Public? I left Twitter. It's bad out there. But they were like, oh my gosh, this is also known as the blob octopus, which is a much better name because the 7-armed octopus is not accurate because it still has 8 arms. The 8th one is just really small and hard to notice. So it looks like 7-armed. That's what I'm remembering. I hope it's right.
Well, let's. So your answer is 8.
Yeah.
Okay, let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and an 8th one inside.
Yay!
This is question
I was so
8.
scared just then.
Question 8 about the octopus question. Obviously, it was going to be 8. Come on. What I wanted to do here was just create any self-doubt, and I'm really proud.
I was so scared just then.
So is that his inside arm?
Yeah. So what this is? So a lot of octopuses, and Diana, you can jump in here. Have 8. They all have 8 arms, but one of them, or maybe sometimes more than one, is that?
Usually just one, but not all octopuses or squids do this.
Okay.
But a lot
so
of them do.
This thing that we're about to describe is called a hectocotylus, and basically it's one of the arms typically is like a sperm transfer arm. So it's a dick arm. And in the case of the 7-armed octopus, they've basically wanted to protect it, I guess. They've developed this like little sort of storage area, and it's like curled up inside. And yeah, so that is the answer. They have 8 legs, just like
Is
the
it
rest
called a
of them.
merman's purse? But,
Oh, that's really funny. It's really funny. I like that. So it is basically, so this name comes from, well, let me say first, so this is from Wikipedia. Depending on the species, the male may use it merely as a conduit to the female, analogous to a penis in other animals, or he may wrench it off and present it to the female.
A lot of cephalopods do that. They'll just take that arm and like fill it with sperm and throw it at her because she'll eat him otherwise.
ugh, just an unsolicited dick.
And you don't even get a meal. It's just the dick. No meal.
Better than the pictures.
Anyway, the moral of this story is that people will believe anything about an octopus arm, those suckers. Yeah. So the time has come for your answers. That's just about all we have for you tonight. So I'm going to tell you the best team names according to Rob, so don't be mad if you're not mentioned. Squid Pro Quo
Very nice.
and the Mariana Wench.
Heck yeah.
The winner tonight with 6 out of 8. Okay, so it would have tied y'all's score, right?
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nemo's
Nice.
emotional support. Congratulations. We have a prize for you. Come find us as soon as the show ends. The prize is great. It's these Valentine's Day cards with squid facts on them. They're wonderful. We got them from Skype a Scientist.
Yay.
But at Fax Machine, we don't just award a team that won. Let me take that again. At Fax Machine, shut up. This is not going to make sense in the edit. All right. At Fax Machine, we don't just award fuck. All right. At Fax Machine, we don't just award a prize to the winners. We also award a prize to the team who learned the most. Those teams tonight are Whaler, I hardly know her. And almost always never very wrongers. That's just about all we have for you tonight. Thank you so much to all of you for coming out. If you enjoyed this show, I hope that you will follow us on, what are we on? Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Fax Machine Pod, and go listen to, rate, and subscribe to Fax Machine wherever you listen to podcasts. And also, we would love it if you would come hang out with us at the after party. We'd love to meet y'all and hear about your favorite marine organism, or hey, if you prefer a comfortable knowing silence, that's fine too. Josh, do you have anything to plug?
Yeah, I'll just plug, that's my socials there, and I'll also plug my podcast that I do with my 2 lovely co-hosts who are watching from Denver and Chicago, Amber and Christine. My podcast is called Getting Fishy With It, so there's your pun right there. That's your joke right there. It's fun. We talk about fish all the time. We talk about them in hobby, in the lab, everything you want to know. So definitely go check that out if you can.
Hell
Find
yeah.
it wherever podcasts are.
Find them wherever they're casted from.
Oh, I also have stickers if anyone wants a sticker.
Hell yeah.
Come find me.
Come to the after party for lots of reasons.
I will only give you stickers at the after party.
Diana, how about you? Do you have anything to plug?
So I exist on the internet. Wow, you capitalized it weird. But I see it. Diana Toothis, because most squids end in toothis. Giant squid is Architeuthis. So I used to be on Twitter and Instagram. I creep a little bit, but I'm on Blue Sky now because it's friendlier. I don't know what you have next on the slide. Okay. I've been on past podcasts. I don't know if you want a cephalopod co-host on Getting Fishy
We will
with it.
consider.
Maybe. But if you enjoy how I sound, you can look at a past Fax Machine show from a few years ago where I told another squid story. These are all squid stories. I've been on the Story Collider talking about my experience doing field work in Mexico during grad school. And I've been on Exolore with Dr. Moya McTeer, who's in our audience and hosts this wonderful podcast where we imagine what happens on other planets and we talk about all sorts of feathery squids and their cultures and ways there.
Awesome. So please give it up one more time for our fantastic guests, Joshua Barber and Dr. Dan Lee. This is us, the people who host the show. You can find me at Arcs and Sciences, M.
@_EM Costa.
And you can find Rob at Whiteboard Rob these days.
And
or
here
you can
somewhere.
go at BioBus, a wonderful organization where he
There he
teaches,
is.
there you go, where he teaches kids on a bus about science. It's all background checked. Nobody needs to worry. It's not going to be a Finding Nemo situation. For me, I will be giving a sort of sciencey comedy talk with Bio on Tap. That's Monday, July 1st at Pete's Candy Store in Brooklyn. It's a super fun show, so I hope you'll come check that out. It's amazing. We also do this show right here at Caveat on the third Thursday of every single month. So that means our next show is Thursday, July 18th at 7 p.m. So you can join us for a science comedy show and science trivia showdown, loosely inspired by Working Title. We're workshopping it with you right now. You can find out what it is at the next show.
Bring your suggestions to the bar, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
So come see us again then. We've heard it said that there are plenty more fish in the sea, but from all of us here at Fax Machine, if we caught you, we'd never throw you back. So thank you so much for coming tonight, and see you next month.